everyone. To the fight.
What the heck? This is totally right to the archipelago, isn't it? Has to be.
All the more reason to stay focused. Come with me. Stay on your guard.
Teamwork's kind of my thing.
Hunger for entertainment.
Fuji, keep up!
You can do it!
So companionship was the key.
Thanks for the backup!
Let's bring
It was a try.
Away with you! Get him! You're mine! That's yours, and
They're as strong as they are loyal. Sick 'em! Easy
Does this suffice?
Perfect synergy.
let's
Our
keep
next
it up!
foe will
said it.
drown in my
I think we can take 5 for today.
Made it back to civilization. Time to report back.
Took down a bunch of monsters on the other side, huh? Way to go above and beyond. In that case, Seed Hollow ought to be safe from a monster invasion. At least for the time being. But yeah, you guys rock. I'm gonna stick around and keep watch. If anything changes, you'll be the first to know. You the best.
Yes. Look no further. I got all the work provided.
Right.
And you will be the first to own one.
Excuse me.
I smell a new mission. I smell a new mission.
Very much. Looking for that special loaf? Look no
I smell a new mission.
I'm practically giving things away.
It can't hurt just to look around. What have you got for me?
Let's see.
Now I'm mad.
Not bad. I smell a new mission. Daddies ain't got nothing on you.
And also, yeah.
All right.
Oh.
Open sesame. Just what I needed. I smell a new mission.
Nah.
Ha! I smell money. Yeah, it'll do. Pleasure doing business with you.
Excuse me.
Hey, nice.
Yes.
Okay.
During the next month's visit, Malfira looked more downtrodden than I had ever seen. Vern expressed his distress before I could vocalize my own.
Holy spools, lady. You look like you've been up all night. You feeling okay?
Malfira meekly raised her head, barely affording him a grin.
My love, he didn't come back to me.
It took me a moment to find a response. I'm sure... I bet he'll find a way to return next month. She had already been waiting an eternity for him. What comfort were my words? And yet, she still found the strength to smile.
I hope so. I'm so tired of moping around like this. It's getting harder to stay positive. but I'll find a way for his sake. That man, you know, he's so absent-minded. He probably mixed up the date on his ticket.
Malfira unrolled the blanket across her lap, checking the backing of her stitching.
I've poured a lot of love into this design. I hope he likes it.
As she vacillated from melancholy to forced cheer and back again, I had to bite my lip for fear my thoughts would spill out. One month passed, and still no word from Malfira's beloved.
I'm sure he has his reasons.
Lyria tried to comfort the young seamstress, but Malfira's smile was noticeably dimmer than before.
Yes, you're right. He's not one to take risks or push himself too far. There's nothing to worry about, I'm sure.
Her words sounded strained, like she was trying to convince herself. I thought I knew what was happening, but I couldn't bring myself to acknowledge it. Not yet. We were all stuck in awkward silence, so I changed the subject.
How did you two meet?
It was in this very plaza. He was a bookworm, so he came here to do his reading. I was out catching some sun myself when he found the courage to sit next to me. I turned to greet him and he shoved a book on embroidery in my face. Not the greatest first impression, huh?
Energy returned to her movements. Color returned to her smile.
So what did you do?
You're going to laugh. I told him I already owned the book. His face turned pale as a ghost, but it was cute, seeing him all vulnerable. So I asked his name, and the rest is history.
She shut her eyes, savoring the nostalgia. Then she sighed.
Guess I'll have to go to Dolly and drag him home myself, won't I?
No, not that. I couldn't let her go to Dolly alone. After witnessing her optimism return, I couldn't let her learn the truth.
Lyria and Vern became a regular fixture at the studio. They said they wanted to be there when Shanae finished her latest piece. I felt much the same. Her pieces were charming, even while portraying the thin line between life and death. Rare to get drama like that outside of a novel. But my true reason for visiting was out of concern, not interest. She was battling an unpredictable disorder, so I wanted to be around should the worst come to pass.
Could you stick around for a few? I need to run out and buy a few things.
You dare waste my time with your foolish errands? Fine, but at least be quick about it. After Heimel left, Shanae waved me closer to her bed.
After all you've done, I don't want to sound ungrateful, but...
Her voice quivered. She was plainly troubled.
I don't know if I can say this. Wow. Okay, I want my brother to be free. I don't want to bind him any longer.
Tears began to gloss her eyes.
Without me holding him back, he could find someone and settle down. He has such a kind heart. He needs to share it. If I'm ruining his life, then I would rather not be in it at all. Please take...
I interrupted her. I don't condone this, and I doubt your brother would either. Oh boy. If there was ever a time to talk about my past, this was it. Look, I've been in your shoes. There was nothing the village doctors could do, and I was abandoned by damn near all the townsfolk. For the dying, hope was cheap. It was better to look inevitability in the face and maintain some of your dignity. But there was one person who stood beside me. My light. My rock. My sister. She was with me the entire time, keeping me warm in the shadow of death. And in turn, I gave her the comfort of company, of not being alone in this world. I continued to detail memories of my sister, over 2,000 years old, hoping that Shanae would get the point. She hung on to every word. When I concluded my story, to my disappointment, Shanae seemed to pick up the wrong message.
How did you get better?
Simple. The curse of genius. I developed an entire school of magic and abandoned my wretched body. I couldn't suppress a proud grin. She nodded along, not quite understanding. I couldn't blame her. Few people had the opportunity to learn the glory of alchemy, especially in these far-flung skydoms. Imagine your body is a jar and your soul is water. I created a fresher, cuter jar and poured my soul into it.
You can do that sort of thing?
Shanae cupped her mouth in surprise. Don't insult me. There's nothing I can't do. She grew silent as gears began to whir in her head. A few moments later, she stared at me with pleading eyes and spoke.
Could you do it for me?
Well, that was predictable. But I could relate to her predicament, and that alone made me want to help. If you really want to go through with this, I can make you a jug too. However, you should know. It wasn't going to be simple. A soul swap was messy on an experienced alchemist's psyche, much less a mundane girl's. Nor would I be around to perform maintenance down the line. It could very well be a fast track to the grave. And to inhabit an alchemized body was to stray from the natural order. She would forever be a false life form. Shanae had no knowledge of the arcane. She was struggling to grasp these factors. And what's worse, I didn't have the decades needed to explain the details. So I opted for a simpler route, and explained the side effects in more mortal terms. Even if your memories, knowledge, and personality make the jump, you will never feel the same. Your senses will feel foreign, your fine motor skills will be dulled. In short, goodbye, art. Take, for example, the sky. We each paint it in our own way. One may clumsily blob some white on a blue background, while others might choose a deeper hue or express the clouds with more definite contours. Art is a negotiation between the artist's mind, eye, and hand. And if 2/3 of that equation were to change, then the artist might as well be a different person altogether. Even I, genius that I am, took centuries to adapt to this process. Finally, it means you won't be human. You'll have to maintain your body like a machine, and you'll never have children. Is any of this sinking in?
But...
Shanae looked down at her hands, as if it were the first time she had ever seen them. It was never an easy decision. Even my sister begged me not to abandon my mortality. right until I made the hop into a new vessel.
Now I just had to track me down a living, swimming myth. Couldn't be that many lakes harboring legends, right? Turns out there were few eyewitness accounts of such fish. Guess they didn't like flashing their scales as much as the fisher god. But I knew they had to exist. Why would he make up the challenge? So back to Sierra we went. She kindly asked the Fishermen's Guild and scholars to lend their assistance. They told us of a potential target. A beautiful fish, said to have the loveliest iridescent scales in the world. But it had never been caught, so it had yet to receive a proper name within academia. As if to tempt me more, we learned the locals called it the jewel fin. Catching it would be like grabbing a cloud, but the more I heard, the more I needed it. Surely it was a fool's errand. Too bad I was beside myself with determination. A being that existed somewhere between reality and rumor, I had to catch me some of that. Thus, in the coming days, whenever I found a semi-reliable lead, I would fly to the spot and cast my line. Went to salt lakes where a sip of the water would dry you to the bone. Wandered around underground streams where you couldn't see your hand in front of your face, and then every place in between. The captain, Lyria, and Vern accompanied me on my flights of fancy, but they grew tired of the pace. I wouldn't force them. I had planned to make the trip alone anyhow. All I wanted to do was find the unfindable, to catch the uncatchable. It was a good sign, honestly. They say anticipation exists right before accomplishment. Take a new sword technique. You only perfect it the day before a duel. A consequence of pre-battle nerves sending your noggin into overdrive. And this fish-off was a duel to the death for me and the fisher god. It would be the accomplishment of the century for any who lived by the rod. I was having the time of my life. But I knew I didn't have forever. We were in this skydom for a reason, and that mission had to take precedence. I decided my next search would be the last. It brought me to a labyrinthine jungle, which had claimed many adventurers in the past. I heard that somewhere inside was a spring turned monster den. One look at its bewitching twinkle would be enough to drive a man mad, and he'd throw himself into the pool to be swallowed. Relying on those exaggerated claims for guidance, I braved the forested depths to discover not a glorious spring, but a regular old bog. Ugh, ain't no legendary fish ever lived in a place like that. But still, I cast my rod, and Vern and the captain waited with bated breath as they watched me bobber-a-bobbin'. The swamp remained quiet. I was neither overcome with anticipation nor bored from inaction. I was part of the stillness, and my rod was my connection to it. I was one with nature and leap and liver fish a bite. I tugged the fish to the surface and began to tear up as the most perfect, lustrous twinkle broke the murky waters. Turns out none of the scholars' descriptions were quite right. But this was it. This was the jewel fin of legend. How's this for a catch? I proudly displayed the jewel fin before the fisher god. Its scales glistened in iridescent waves, unreal in their beauty. Its fins ethereal and transparent, waved as if kissed by a breeze. That old coot was flabbergasted.
Slap my behind! Where in the seven skies did you find this?
That was a delicious reaction. But of course, the fisher god was a fisherman of taste, and he had a rebuttal prepared. It was a large fish, obsidian in color, whose scales seemed to drink the light like a void. Its dorsal was strong and stiff, as if to mark it as a sea king.
Whoa! 2 legendary fish? Isn't that nuts?
Both of our catches fit the criteria of the competition. It was gonna be too hard to call. Guess we couldn't complain, though. Not every day we got to see such rare specimens. Still, something had to be done. So we turned to Lyria, Vern, and the captain.
I think both are amazing. I've never seen such pretty fish. Can't we just say you're both incredible and be done with it?
Guess 2 legendary fish don't make a champion. Especially when we were both set on wearing the crown. Nope, it didn't sit right with me. Our rivalry pushed the craft of fishing forward, hadn't it? There was fire in our guts, and we deserved to name a proper victor.
Foul smell fills the air as my dissolving limbs grow black.
Protect the captain! Get him somewhere safe!
No, leave me. Run.
As long as you're alive, we can rebuild. We promised, didn't we? Our lives are in your hands.
You're not allowed to make this sacrifice for me. Please, save yourselves. I'll never forget the memory of that day. My conceit put us in that mess, but I was the only one who made it. After all the good times we shared, after all the pain, they would have to live on in my memory. Once I could pick myself back up again, I began to temper my body. I swore I'd never let the same tragedy repeat itself. It wasn't long before this husk became resilient, augmented and conditioned to withstand even lightning. I no longer felt physical pain, or much of anything at all. It was preferable that way. I could be a shield to protect others, to protect them from the same tragedy that befell my crew. Having lost my place in the world, I found a home in the society, and quickly became contractor to the seal weapon, Great Scythe Grynoth. My missions were simple: hunt primal beasts or exterminate the foe. I did my job so that I could keep people safe, to aid them in their time of need. But despite my best efforts, I still failed. I was powerless when Vern was kidnapped right in front of me. Worst of all, I could do nothing but watch as our hopeful new recruit was cut down. What good was I when I couldn't even protect a single one of my comrades? Maybe the real mistake was believing I could do good in the first place. I joined the society to protect others, which sounds noble on paper, but in reality, it was all for my own sake. I'm the reason that my old crew, my family, found an early grave. It was only right that I spend the rest of my meager life in atonement. At least, that's the excuse I told myself. In truth, another part of me was deluded into thinking I could free myself from the guilt, but only if I could change into another person. Turns out that being immune to physical torture does nothing to protect your heart from psychological torment. Speaking of mental suffering, not long after I joined the society, Ilsa assigned Zeta as my partner. The old me would have worked with her just fine, but too much had changed. Her blunt honesty rubbed me the wrong way. A man can only take so much random commentary before he goes insane. Even Ilsa called her Pupper, which was kinder than what I had in mind back in those days. But it was an apt name, considering all of her barking. I didn't care about forging a real partnership with Zeta. Every time we had a mission together, I just wanted to finish it as fast as possible. But it backfired. Whenever I pushed her away, she pushed back 10 times harder. She was determined to know me. I would have never admitted it out loud, but I was afraid. After all, the closer you are with someone, the harder it is to cope with their loss. As for why I joined the captain's crew, well, I had my reasons. The captain's father was awaiting our crew in Estalucia, and that meant duking it out with primals and gathering sky map pieces along the way. The captain was strong and humble, had a knack for overcoming hardship. With leadership like that, I knew this crew could actually make it. That's not to say they were running a flawless operation. The way I saw it, they had 2 big problems. Vern and Lyria, the Red Dragon and the Girl in Blue. It's true they were core members of the crew, but they possessed powers which could represent grave consequences for the skies. Should one overflow with astral energy, or the other absorb enough primal power, they would be erased and herald the destruction of everything as we know it. It was possible the captain could reach Estalucia without any sacrifices, but I wasn't the type to bet on fate. These kids needed a shield. This body of mine would protect them all, no matter what came to pass. At least, that's what I intended. During the fight against the Moon Dwellers, I lost myself to the Atomagod Grinoth's power and raised my scythe against the crew. As pathetic as it was, I became the very threat I swore to protect them from. That was why I prepared a way to stop my own heart. I wouldn't hurt my comrades again. If I couldn't protect anyone, then the least I could do was make sure I could do no more harm.
What are you playing at, Vasaraga? Is this your penance after what happened to Lester?
I was fine with sacrificing myself, as long as I could save someone else. A part of me even believed I deserved such a fate.
I hate when you act alone. You could have come to me for help first, you know? We're partners, damn it!
I couldn't feel pain, but somewhere inside I felt like a wound had split me in 2. It took me far too long to realize that it hurt my comrades to see me suffering, that I had chosen to run instead of face my fears.
Did you hear me, you big lug? You're not gonna drop dead on us. Not on my watch.
My partner's instincts were sharp enough to cut right through me. But it was her words, honest and blunt, which shattered the walls around my cowardly heart. The pain I should have dealt with a long time ago came spilling out, but this time it was accompanied by a burning desire. We're going to survive this, together. And that's the way it's been ever since. Early in the morning, before the crew was to head out for a request, I headed to the forest surrounding Folca to conduct a test on Grinoth. On the way, I was stopped by the sight of a young girl watering the vegetable garden by her home, the wet plants sparkling beneath the morning sun. But something felt off about the scene. In contrast to the bright garden, a dark, foul mist seemed to surround the girl. Upon noticing me, she scrambled back into her house. The miasma clung to her as she fled. Sorry, lass. Shouldn't have snuck up on you like that. But that odd mist looked too real to be an illusion, and yet it didn't seem to be doing any harm. I decided to keep an eye out. After all, Folka was bustling with the influx of refugees from Tempeal. And there was no telling what could happen in strange times such as these.
What does it mean to be the strongest? We've all wrestled with our inadequacies at one point or another. I know I have. Doesn't matter how old you are or where you come from. Everyone wants to be the top dog. So, what exactly does it take to reach the peak of Mount Awesome? Power, be it physical, economic, or political, is all about using the right leverage. Like a high-stakes game of rock, paper, scissors. For instance, you can't always outflex a sharp wit with muscles alone. Your environment plays an important role in shaping your strengths, too. A desert denizen shrugs off the heat, no sweat. A kid raised in the streets tends to be savvier than a child of privilege. As you can see, everyone thinks they know what strength is, but it isn't that cut and dry. Leave definitions to the dictionary. I prefer to follow my gut. What we need is a unified baseline predicated on common sense. Something along the lines of, being the strongest means never losing to anyone. Ever. And that's why the Eternals had to be created. So, we're a group of 10 who command the most powerful weapons in the skies. And I'm the big kahuna. That's right, the lovable Star Sword Sovereign. But you can just call me Sovan. Think of us as the bouncers of the Sky Realm. We roam the skies, staring down would-be troublemakers while wagging our fingers no. Look deep into your heart and ask yourself if you'd stoop to villainy under the watchful eyes of the world's strongest good guys. What? No, you wouldn't. Stop lying. It doesn't take a genius to figure out what happens when a stoppable force meets an immovable crew. Some have even accused us of being a mafia witch. I mean, that's just flat out disrespectful. Look, we never claimed we were perfect. There are more than enough nations and leaders out there who view our autonomy as a threat to their interests. Our plans have backfired on us before, leading to unnecessary animosity and resentment. Mistakes have definitely been made. Yet despite all that, and this is just between me and you, okay? Recruiting the world's biggest badasses sounded way too fun to pass up. I knew getting the strongest people in the world to gel wouldn't be easy. It was hard enough convincing them to join the team, let alone work as one. You win some, you lose some. Now I know what you're dying to ask. Whenever people gossip about us, they always feel the need to bring it up. So, let's get this out of the way and put the subject to bed. There can only be one who wears the crown of strongest eternal. Only one whose bravery and deeds are second to none. Possessed of both unparalleled martial power and wisdom. And great hair to boot. Now, who could that be, I wonder? There's a place called the Boundary, where every strand of time entwines and colossal concentrations of energy are stored. A person with a strong boundary imprint is capable of tapping into the boundary to extract its energy, like yours truly, for one. That being said, just because I have access to the mine doesn't mean I'll always strike gold. If anything, I think I got more than I bargained for. A resonant voice boomed from the boundary and issued a disturbing warning. It claimed there was a calamitous menace residing in Zega Grande's skydom. Zega Grande? You're sure about that? Unless my memory was playing tricks on me. That was where the captain and the crew were right now.
How curious. I wonder if that warning you heard pertains to a youth named Id.
Meet Anra, the world's greatest spearmaster. Blame him for giving me the idea to form the Eternals. He's got eyes and ears in all corners of the skies thanks to his buddies from his merchant days. Who's this Id guy? I get the feeling you've got the deets.
Indeed I do. Have a seat. The tales my friends tell me of Zega Grande's current events are well worth the listen.
Anra proceeded to give me the scoop. Turns out Zega Grande has primal beasts too, except they call them primeval gods. The Church of Avia, led by a woman named Lilith, propagated the idea of deifying those primals. Zega Grande was unique in the sense that even the true king had yet to meddle in its affairs.
Thankfully, the captain and the crew thwarted Lilith's plans. Her son Id is now pursuing a path of atonement for his transgressions.
Sheesh. I can't believe an extinction-level conspiracy nearly succeeded right under our noses. That's not funny at all. You're telling me this kid morphed into the Dragon of Destruction to blow up the world, and we're supposed to let bygones be bygones because he's sorry? Anra, ever perceptive of my implications, tried to appease me with a smile.
Now, the captain has welcomed Id into the crew. It may be best to keep your opinions to yourself this time. You have a history of coming across as confrontational.
Ouch. He's got me there. Still hurts to be called out, though. Come on. It's my job as our leader to take this stuff seriously. Besides, getting on the captain's bad side is the last thing I want.
Yes, it would be wise to maintain an amicable working relationship.
The old-timer chuckled softly before shooting me a piercing stare.
Do you remember that sage counsel I gave you oh so long ago? Sometimes, making impartial decisions means losing the sympathy and understanding of others. This is going to be one of those times.
Ah, Anra. Subtle as ever. Leading the Eternals is hard enough without your helpful reminders. I know. I'll keep you updated. Wait, really? You're coming with me, Twain?
Unless you see me as excess baggage.
What? I would never think that. My original plan was to fly solo. Punctuality isn't a hallmark of the Eternals. Assuming anyone bothers to show up when I call for assembly, that is. To make matters worse, my approval rating took a nosedive for my handling of recent events. They can think whatever they want, but I did what I had to do, even if it meant losing a modicum of trust in the short run. That was the justification I gave myself, anyway. So when Twain offered to accompany me, I was touched. Were the open wounds finally starting to heal? I wanted it to be true. Please tell me it was true. You're coming with me out of the goodness of your heart, right?
Actually, it's personal. I'll be on hand to make sure you don't start a war or something. Think of me as your chaperone.
I knew it was too good to be true. Give me a little credit. I swear I've learned my lesson.
And I want to believe you, but we don't need a repeat of the Stardust Town incident.
Oh, right. That little unhappiness. Me reaping what I sowed really sucks. Well, that's just Twain being Twain. I know she's worried about me. She's too professional to say it. Yeah, let's go with that.
The twang of a bowstring, the cessation of a once beating heart. I knelt down quietly beside my prey and confirmed the absence of a pulse. There's no escaping the cold, ironclad law of this world, that the strong devour the weak to survive. Growing up in a backwater hunting village, the adults ingrained this irrefutable rule into our brains from the moment we could crawl. Memories of my childhood raced into my head as I wrestled the arrow from flesh and sinew. Back then, my friend and I would often trek into the perilous wilderness to compete for the largest catch. Although no records of our matches were ever kept, I can assure you that I never lost once. I had the sharpest eyes in the entire village, bar none. When I stood atop a mountain summit, not a single beast escaped my gaze. Yep, I sure was proud of my eyesight when I was a kid. Everyone in the village showered me with praise. They all agreed I was a natural-born hunter, a generational talent even. Now, I'm not going to lie. I might have let it go to my head a little. Before I realized it, my bonds with the villagers began to fray. My world, the village, felt suffocating. I took to hunting on my own as a means of improving my survival skills, to learn to be self-sufficient. Before long, I left the village behind. As someone who could pinpoint a pin in a sea of silver, the ends of the skies remained opaque to me. Oh, how I desired to know what lay beyond the shroud. I wanted to be able to see halfway around the world from where I stood. Was that so weird? Striding into my first real city was a moment unlike any other. Where did all the people come from? While my mouth feasted on savory delights, my eyes took in the vivid sights. Like a pup opening her eyes for the first time, I was flooded with wonder. What a mess of nerves and excitement I must have been. For the better part of a week, I worked tirelessly to blend in with the crowd. Couldn't let anyone find out I was a country bumpkin. The transition was seamless. I even established quite a few friendships. Life in the city was a delight, until reality finally caught up to me. One day, a colossal beast broke past the city gates. In an instant, I fired my bow with the goal of taking one life to save many. With nary a twitch, the interloper went down in a silent heap, my arrow protruding from the center of its brow. It was so quiet I thought time had stopped. None dared breathe, let alone speak. Suddenly, the entire square erupted with cheers and applause. For the first time since my arrival, I wasn't simply another face in the crowd. Riding the high, I instinctively went about field dressing the kill, right in front of everyone. Can you blame me? Its meat and hide would have made such fabulous gifts for the city folk. Oh, I was so naive back then. You can take the girl out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the girl. The warm reception I had won turned absolutely frosty. From the moment I made the first incision, I realized my faux pas. but it was already too late. Friends with whom I'd stayed up many a night swapping stories over food and drink instantly severed ties with me and began to gossip behind my back. In the blink of an eye, I'd lost everything. That was the day I received my first bitter taste of isolation. It's hard to identify exactly when the cynicism set in, when I started to view myself as a monster. Things are so much simpler when you're a kid. I was happy as the village's top archer, and that was that. Then I stepped outside my little bubble and was never the same again. From the new locales I visited to the strange beasts I shot down, every new experience filled me with ever-growing doubt. I questioned if there was anyone in the Sky Realm capable of matching my marksmanship. I was still proud of my hunting prowess, but the prospect of standing alone at the top left me feeling conflicted. When you're the best of the best with zero competition, who else can you relate to? The thought of total isolation terrified me the most. At times, my yearning for camaraderie bordered on the obsessive. It wasn't like I had to find a rival who was my equal in skill. I just wanted to meet someone who saw me for who I was. There had to be at least one person out there I could confide in, share my secrets with. Sadly, most folks I met on my travels took one look at my freak talents and refused to give me the time of day. Some were kind enough to at least pretend to like me. We'd spend time together, sharing pleasantries and laughs. I nearly fell into the trap of believing I was normal, until the fear hiding in their eyes betrayed the truth. These people stared back at me like cornered animals fearing a predator who was merely playing with her food. I began to blame myself, and grew too afraid to even give them a passing hello. Then, I finally met someone who genuinely understood what I was going through. Her name was Silva. She was a master sniper in her own right, and didn't give two hoots that I wasn't normal. We did everything as best friends. Eating out, shopping, the works. Whew, the bags of rubies I must have spent. Now, I'd been burned before, but this time things were going to be different. When will I learn not to get my hopes up? You see, Silva was hired for this routine bodyguard gig. Nothing fancy. But it all fell apart when suddenly her VIP came under attack from a horde of monsters. I saw the ambush unfold from leagues away, and without a second thought drew back my bowstring again and again. As the last of the brutes fell from my arrows, Silva stood trembling amid the carnage, her mouth agape. "She's a monster," my supposed friend uttered. Of course, I couldn't hear her words over such a vast distance, but I read it on her lips, clear as day. I'd been called that countless times by countless people. The words should have held no power over me, but this time it had hit differently, coming from someone I considered to be my first best friend. From that day on, we pretty much drifted apart. But I guess fate had other plans for us. When I joined the captain on their travels, I was shocked to learn that the woman I'd been trying so hard to avoid was also part of the crew. Silva and I finally sat down and had a heart-to-heart to clear the air. And wouldn't you know it, both of us were guilty of misjudging the other, and of acting like babies. Silva apologized for what she had said on that fateful day, even though it was totally my fault for jumping to conclusions. Hearing my first real friend speak from the heart brought me to tears. I think it was at that point when I realized I wasn't alone anymore. There was someone else standing right beside me, someone I could rely on through thick and thin. The monster who had been sentenced to a life of isolation was at long last free of her prison.
There are 10 of us that make up the Eternals. We're said to be the strongest fighters wielding the strongest weapons in the skies. Our formidable presence alone was enough to deter conflict before it arose, so rarely did I need to draw an arrow. I joined the Eternals because I agreed with their mantra of solving disputes without bloodshed. But on a personal level, I just wanted to spend time with others who knew the pain of being ostracized for being atypical. So imagine my dismay when I discovered their penchants for being antisocial. We don't even go out for dinner together. What's up with that? Well, everyone's got their own thing going, I guess. But it's a shame we don't indulge in our hobbies together. Not all hope is lost, though. A lot of us have really opened up since we started traveling with the captain's crew. Speaking of the crew, I wonder how they're doing right now. Last time I saw them was before they left for Zega Grande Skydom. And according to the latest gossip from Onra's merchant contacts, the region was experiencing a massive uprising. When Sovan heard the news, of course he leapt into action and headed there himself. Sovan's a principled man, but sometimes he can be blinded by zeal. Like the time the Seven-Star Sword manipulated him into attacking his fellow Eternals. Yep, including me. So, I thought I should go and keep an eye on him. It wasn't that I was worried about him, per se. Better to have extra help on hand should complications develop, you know? Besides, I was doing this as a favor to Onra, too. And as long as I was making excuses, I might as well confess. Although I never miss my target, I certainly missed the captain and the crew.
There's something about the pure blue sky that pierces the soul. Whenever I glimpsed its light, I felt my spirits lifted upward into the resplendent glow. But when I tried to reach out and capture its brilliance, I would find myself empty-handed. I knew I was a fool for believing I could touch it, but I would give anything to be in its presence, bathed in its warmth, just once more. How I detested that radiance, the light I shunned, rejected, and despised, and above all, yearned for. Is it irrational to both loathe and cherish something? My emotions had been in disarray, driving me towards madness. But to understand what led to that incongruity, I need to start from the beginning. Fate was set in motion roughly 2,000 years ago, when the astral Lucilius created assistants to aid his research into Sky Dweller evolution. They were the original primal beasts, though they went by a different name, Archangels. Given that we primals are immortal, the role which we are bestowed becomes our sole purpose for existing. Yet, when I was created, Supreme Primarch Lucifer saw fit to grant me nothing. I was essentially a blank slate, little more than the hollow husk of a primal. With unwavering determination, I stalked the garden of the Astral Research Lab, waiting for my chance to question Lucifer. What was my purpose in life? Only he had the answer I desperately sought. With each passing moment, the whirling tempest of inferiority and doubt within my mind grew fiercer. As my disillusionment deepened, I came to view the Supreme Primarch as my only salvation. His wisdom, his skill, and even his poise. Everything about him was sublime. It was only fitting that he was beloved by all. I was convinced there was no other being as perfect as him. Indeed, he was the light that illuminated the world. And thus, I endeavored to prove that I could be of use to him. The only way I could pull my weight was to secure a role for myself. It became an obsession. I was but a tender hatchling, pestering its parent for nourishment. If only I had been more careful of what I wished for. One day, I finally learned the truth of my purpose, and it destroyed me. I wouldn't go so far to say I was eavesdropping, more like I happened to be within earshot of a conversation between Lucilius and Lucifer. From this innocuous meeting, my entire world changed forever. A spare. I was Lucifer's spare. A temporary stand-in for the Supreme Primarch, should circumstances go awry. However, when you're the definition of perfection like Lucifer, a spare becomes redundant. Not only was I born a backup, I was a useless one. My dreams were built on hope, respect, and admiration. Yet, it wasn't until everything came crashing down that I realized how flimsy that foundation had been. In one brief flash, I came to hate the light. Much time passed after that shocking revelation, though little of note occurred. Later, however, a faction of the Archangels rose up in rebellion against the Astrals. They were the fallen angels, primals who believed themselves to be at the top of the food chain, radicals who snapped at the hands of their creators. Their mission was to shake up the hierarchy. Lost in rage from being tossed aside like a broken doll, I joined the rebellion without hesitation. It was my chance to claim revenge on Lucifer and Lucilius. No, just Lucifer. But the revolt was quashed, and I, along with the fallen angels, was imprisoned in Pandemonium. I languished in that colossal cage for 2 millennia, an eternity, even for a being with all the time in the world. Yet, as chance would have it, when Vern and Lyria came in contact with each other for the first time, a deafening roar reverberated across the skies, signaling the opportunity for me to escape. Luck was on my side. But when I emerged back into the open skies, Lucifer was nowhere to be found. I wanted to be berated. I yearned to be scolded. But above all else, I needed acknowledgement. And I wouldn't rest until I got what I deserved. If I needed to light the world ablaze just to smoke him out, so be it. I destroyed the equilibrium between the tetra elements, fire, water, earth, and wind. Deprived of that delicate balance, the islands would lose buoyancy and crash into the crimson horizon below. My lips twisted into a grin as I watched the Primarch scramble to put out my fires. Wiping out the world wasn't even that hard. I had barely broken a sweat. I shed no tears for the ruin of the skies. My focus was exhausted, suffocated by the stranglehold Lucifer kept on my heart. Darkness had conquered my judgment to the point where not even his light could mollify me. But that was what I wanted. What possessed me to commit such atrocities? Why did I lash out with such rancor? I asked rhetorically. I already knew the answers. I didn't care if I became a villain. All I cared about was proving my existence. Nothing was going to stop me. Come what may, I was going to force his hand.
Well then, so long.